Welcome to today's episode of The Blame Game. I'm joined by Dean, who works for or owns Rec for Tech, founded it recently. Uh, Usually, I'm talking around sales or management. What I actually wanted to talk around today was recruitment. So, Dean, if you hadn't picked, Rec for Tech is a recruitment company. Do you want to talk us through a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely, Nathan. G'day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm a technical recruiter. I actually came from the managed services space well before I became a recruiter. Roughly 7 years in managed services. So I was a help desk dude, and then I moved into IT consulting, bit of business development. Loved the space, and I was offered an opportunity to become a recruiter. And no one wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I want to be a HR manager or a recruiter," but I took the leap of faith, and now I help businesses like yours find good staff and, more importantly, retain those staff for the long term, and that being anywhere from 3 to 5 years, which is a pretty cool place to sit, considering I was sitting internally for many years. But Rec for Tech, yeah, as it says, recruitment for technology. That's us.
Nice. Cool. So the reason why I wanted to get you on is within the industry, retention, ongoing, conversation, ongoing issue, as well as just getting access to the right people when you need them. People are bouncing between jobs. Typically I see people sitting around places for 1-2 years and then moving on, to the next opportunity. Keeps you busy, keeps you, engaged and in business, right? But I was curious around, from your perspective, what is the number one thing that businesses right now aren't doing to either attract or keep their people?
That's an easy one, Nathan. They're not talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I speak daily to business owners or CTOs or CEOs in the managed service space, and I would say 75% of them are owner operated. And we've got this view as a leader within our managed service that we've built from just ourselves as one person. It's now grown to 30, 40 staff, and we think we've got our finger on the pulse because we're sitting in the office with those staff. But sitting in the office is not actually having a conversation. So what I'm seeing day in, day out is it's a lack of conversation around what does the employee want? What's important to the employee? It's changed a lot. Like I can guarantee, Nathan, I know you're about to become a dad, again, and with those things become, we change what we're looking for. Effectively, I'm a single man, and what I want is very different to what you would want when it comes to employee benefits or even just flexibility. I don't need to be at soccer practice myself, but I do want to work from home on a Friday so I can meet the boys at the pub at 5 o'clock sharp. Yep. So really different scenarios. So the lack of conversation, I think. So if I'm going to say one thing, and if you take one little cherry away from today, just start talking to your staff, do a pulse check.
Yeah, nice. And that talking to your staff, it's a conversation I'm having a lot. It's basically what all of my videos are about, is having a conversation, because it usually will resolve or at least bring to light, some of the problems that you're having. Where I think it often falls through is that people have assumptions around what people want to do. So they might think that, hey, you don't, in your instance, Dean, you don't have any, dependents. You've got your dogs, and outside of that, a little less, responsibility than other people might have. So there might be an assumption that you want to grind or work long hours, or that you want to, go this specific career path. And I see that a lot of the time with organizations for their techs, creating opportunities for their techs to progress that don't just involve becoming the team lead of the techs or the manager of the techs. And like you said, having a conversation and actually understanding what motivates your people, because some people could be motivated by money or purpose or wanting to belong to a culture or flexibility and a whole range of things. So just reiterating your point, conversations around what you want are really important.
Really important to know that not every tech wants to be a manager.
Yeah.
Really important to know that. There is. I saw your post the other day, Nathan, around providing opportunity and how it looks. It could be going solution architect route. It could be diving into that analytics space or service design, or being a leader within the business. And we're all cut from a very similar cloth.
Mm.
I guess our neurodiversity internally, who we are, is never cut from the same cloth, and we can be
Yeah.
very different people internally opposed to our hand skills and our ability to code or do break fix or troubleshoot or be proactive with our service desk process. We're very
Mm.
different people internally, so make sure you ask the question, what do you want? What do
Yeah.
you want, Mr. or Mrs. Tech?
Uh, the other thing out of it as well is when you are asking questions and doing pulse surveys and things like that, I've worked with a lot of organizations around this stuff because I'm interested in it. I used to be a tech. I've had really good management. I've had really bad management. I hope that when I have been in management roles, I've been able to carry across some of the good things that I learned from the past mistakes. But when we are doing pulse checks or asking for feedback in trying to get an understanding of employee sentiment, we actually need to ask questions that we're uncomfortable with the answers. And that's something that I often find we don't do. Say that I didn't work from my office in my spare bedroom at my house, and I was in a nice place with, pool table, craft beer on tap. There's lots of places like that. Good seats. You got a PlayStation that you can play on your lunch break and things like that. One of the leading questions you might think you need to ask is, do we have a nice office space, as an example? Well, the answer to that is probably going to be yes. You're trying to accommodate for as many people, but you're not addressing anything around, do you feel like you can take risks at work? Do you feel safe to make mistakes? Do you feel like you can be open and honest around who you are or what you want to do? I often see a lot of those things don't get addressed. And so I talk to a lot of businesses and working with them, and how are you going with your employee satisfaction? And they're going, everyone gave everything an 8 out of 10. And then I look and they're all very surface level questions, and I ask how many people have left this year, and they're like, 4 of our techs have left in the last 3 months because they didn't feel like they had career progression opportunities. Okay, where on your questionnaire was there something that said, I feel like I have career progression opportunities within the business? And they didn't have it.
I think those, again, I think it's even also the way the question's asked as well. So, for example, all right, let's say I'm the CEO of this managed service, and I know I have craft beer on tap and a PlayStation, and I think that's culture. And I say this so many times: having a PlayStation, having Daytona, having beer on tap, that's not culture, guys. Having a pizza party ain't culture either.
Yeah.
So, all those things we believe as an owner of a business or a CEO or a leader in a business. We believe these things inherently because we've actually put our hand in our pocket and we're paid for it. So we think we're paying for culture. The questioning can't be, do we have a good culture? All right. Or do we have a good workspace? Because it's very much looking on ourselves and the employee who is our subordinate. God, that'd be stupid to say no. As in sitting there talking to the manager, in their own mind, they're thinking, I'm not going to be honest about this. I'll be the first guy out the door if I say you're going to put a poor girl out the door if I've got a bad culture, and I think it is. So the question needs to be, what can we be doing better? So more flipping that question, do we have this? Do we have it? It's a yes or no answer. We want to open end that question and ask, what is it that we can be doing better to support you? Is there something that I have failed to do in the past 3 months to support you to hit your goals? But before you ask that question, what are your goals? Am I supporting you towards those goals, or what can I do to support you towards the goals? See the flip? Have I supported? Or what can I do to support you to hit your goals? So it's more about opening that question, regardless of what the level of question is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, again, a conversation I'm having a lot with places and people, whether it's through how they're selling to their clients or selling to their own staff, new ideas or initiatives. Is often we're coming at it from a, what have I done? What's in it for me? How is this going to make things easy for me? As opposed to how are you experiencing things? What do you need? What can we do to help you get there? So, I'm doing my weekly one-on-ones, so I'm ticking that off. We're doing the weekly one-on-ones, but are the weekly one-on-ones useful for them? Are they getting the advice that they want? Are they getting access to support throughout the week? All those types of things as well. Do they feel like they can have a conversation with me that's open, and can we have good two-way feedback and other things like that sometimes miss if we just focused on, we ticked the box and we did the ritual, we did the
I love
we
that you called it a ritual, because these one-to-ones can become a very Q&A scenario that you're ticking a box. And I actually used to create, and still do create, my one-on-one document with the staff member to understand what's important to them, what do they want to achieve, and I would actually get them to draft out some questions that they'd like me to continually ask on a regular
Okay.
basis?
Yeah.
And what were the monthly questions? So once every 4 one-on-one, what do they want me to check in on them? And it was about accountability and feedback. But I always made sure and do make sure that when I'm talking to a business owner and getting them to have the same language, or myself talking to staff or peers, making sure they know that feedback to me is a gift. I was taught that by one of my previous CEOs and also the leadership team that I was working with. Just knowing that feedback was a gift meant that I felt confident and comfortable to provide feedback to my leaders. And now I've brought that through in my career, and I always make sure the staff know that feedback's a gift, and then they're not going to be reprimanded no matter what they say around feedback, and it'll be it's a that sort of safe space, that sort of, this is a safe cone of silence, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I really make sure that I push that point with the team.
Nice. So I want to get your perspective on this, because you'll be talking to a lot of the people that are at the point where they're wanting to move on, and it'll be for a whole range of reasons. What are some of the things that are really sticking out to you, of causes for someone wanting to move on?
Number one, let's talk about managed services. All right, first of all, managed services as the industry that I support so heavily. Number one is opportunity for growth. They can't see north, or the conversation's not having an impact with them around what their progression looks like. There's no proactive conversation happening to understand what these staff want. So, as we all know, the easiest way to get a promotion or a pay rise is to leave an organization, right? Get out, come back. Literally, like I see people doing it all the time. Look, I don't condone that. I really do think that there should be a deeper conversation internally prior to you even looking outside an organization. If you're an employee who's been with a team for 5, 10, whatever it be, 2 years, and you're thinking of leaving, talk to your manager. Or if you don't know how to have a conversation, call me. I'll literally prep you on how to have the conversation, so you are confident going in to find out whether or not said MSP or organization can support you on your journey, whether that's financial, whether that's into a leadership position, solutions role, doesn't matter. I can help you just articulate it so you don't feel like you'll get into that meeting and freeze up or not ask a question. So there's that component. Finances are another one. At the moment, cost of living, I saw a report at the middle of last year saying that about 72% of people were going to look for a new job if their pay increase at the end of the financial year wasn't in line with at least the cost of living increase. So that's CPI and cost of living. Like we're talking, there's a huge difference and shift, as we were talking earlier, Nathan, around the cost of our mortgage. Like if you can't cover that cost by staying at an organization, you're going to leave. As in, let's say your mortgage went up by, let's call it 3,000 for, no, it's definitely going to be over $5,000 a year. If your salary increase didn't hit that $5,000 plus,
you're taking a pay cut.
You're going. It's like you're literally doing the same work for not being able to live your life. So that was another component, was finances. And finally, the one word that gets thrown around to me, which I don't know whether people 100% understand what it means, but culture. It was poor culture. But when I look at poor culture and I start to dissect it with staff who are looking to leave, it actually is poor leadership. It's not culture, because they love their peers. They would stay with their peers, with their managers. They want to work with in their pod. They love the clients, but they don't enjoy the culture / leadership from their management team or executive leadership team. So really, really good time to start looking internally at who we are and what we stand for. Are we aligned with our company values? And ask the staff, what can I do better to support you on your journey?
And again, tying that in with pulse surveys is one way of doing that as well, right? And
anonymous pulse surveys.
Anonymous. Make them anonymous. Because one of the things that can come out of it is that you have people that are so disengaged and don't feel like they can reach out and don't want to, or don't feel like they have anyone to talk to. they might not provide you the feedback. They might provide that feedback to the likes of Glassdoor and things like that, which is now your company reputation. And that's something I've seen before as well, where there isn't an open and honest culture or accountability for the culture that is being set from senior leadership down. It will show itself in other ways.
Honestly, I think that that's a scary thought. Honestly, Nathan, you gave me shivers when you said Glassdoor. Like, I look at Glassdoor before I even consider engaging with an organisation who's asked me to recruit for them, to really understand what are their previous staff saying about them, and what can we work on. What are the systemic issues? Is there a bit of a trend within the business that we can address? Because the last thing I want is to put someone in an organisation. It costs that organisation money to work with me.
Yeah.
If that person leaves in 6, 12 months, there's something bigger internally that's the issue. It's definitely not me, the recruiter, because I'm matching the right skills and the right person. They're leaving because of the organisation or the team, and I think we really need to look at those things. Sorry, keep going, Nathan. Mate. Keep butting in.
No, it's fine. I also am prone to butting in, so surprised we've made it this far. The other thing you talked around was the financial stuff as well. That's something that I've definitely seen as a motivator. Even throughout my career, I've never left a place and come back to it. I left a place and gone, well, if you weren't willing to pay me my market salary, and I didn't particularly feel valued in that specific role. I'm happy for the experience I had, the people I worked with. I took a lot of learnings, made things better than what it was. I always want to do that when I work for a place, but I pretty much closed the book on that. Something I see with a lot of people is that they will, if they really like, for instance, working for that company, they like the people they work with, they don't like their salary, is that they will go to one place, they'll work there for a year, they'll come back and they'll get paid what they should have been paid, but 3, 4, 5 years down the line, it's going to start falling out of whack. So just keeping an eye on, like the Hayes salary guide and what's industry standard for the people that you're hiring, and are you matching that? Because having been in that engineer position where you work with a company for a few years and they're hiring people more junior than you for more money, when you have a conversation over a beer and you find out, that's and there's less taboo about it in Australia now as well. That's all stuff that will push good employees out. And I can speak from my own experience of that. I can also talk from my own experience of pretty much every engineer I know in Wellington has done this at some point.
Benchmarking is important, Nathan, and benchmarking doesn't have to be done just because you're going out to market for a new role. So I benchmark every week for businesses. It's a free service we give, and it's literally we get a pulse check from industry leaders. So we talk to, say, CTOs. We talk to CTOs. What would you pay this person? We talk to staff who are in that role. What do you expect to be paid? Then we've got 3 different guys that we run off, and we get the mean sort of average on those things. And we also talk to HR managers and discuss sort of what businesses similar size, what would you pay this role? Just so we can get a really even spread, and it's not biased. So if I'm working with a not-for-profit, I will go to my not-for-profit clients and get that kind of guide myself. If it's MSP, straight to all my MSPs and say, look, guys, this is what I'm benchmarking. This is a skill set, 5 years experience. Tell me what would you pay and what do you expect to get paid? So it's a really easy process. You can do it yourself. Call your peers. And if you haven't got peers in the managed service space, get some. Definitely get some. It's a good sounding board.
Yeah, nice. So basically the reason why I got you on here was to talk around, the recruitment side and, what is the best recruitment strategy? And we had a quick conversation about it and quickly, decided that the best recruitment strategy really is retention and, giving the opportunity to grow your own and build that capability and keep those people with you because, they develop the IP, they know your clients, they know your people, they know how you work, they have, generally the most to offer in regards of that stuff. I was interested from your perspective because, we both agreed on this. It doesn't seem like it's in your best interest to have people stay where they are. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I totally disagree. If people stay, businesses grow. If businesses grow, I'm still required. Look, I'm not in recruitment. Like I said, I didn't wake up and go, I want to go
Yeah.
into recruitment because I want people to leave their jobs so I can replace them. Like I said, that's
Yeah.
definitely not the way that I saw my impact. My
Mm.
impact is I'm an industry professional. I'm a
Mhm.
technologist by trade, and I can prevent people from making really terrible decisions. The same decisions that I made 13 years ago when I was
Yeah.
firing my mother, my brother, my cousin, my dog, my cat. All of those decisions that I made when I was a young business owner,
Mm.
I want to support people not to make those
Yeah.
emotional decisions, which ultimately end up costing an organization. So retention, for example, I was looking at a stat earlier. I think I told you, Nathan,
Mm.
$211 billion across Australia and New Zealand is the cost of disengaged employees. So that is
Yeah.
not
Right.
having a strong retention strategy. That's a
Mm.
huge
Mm.
amount of money
Yeah.
across all industries. Even if we're
Mm.
just a segment of that,
Mm.
let's say we're 5 or 10%. That's 21 billion. That's a huge amount of money.
Mm. Mm.
Although it's you say it might not be in my best interest. I'm not in recruitment for the fee. I'm in recruitment to make a difference, impact, and support. I'm part of the ACS here in Australia, the Australian Computer Society, so I can actually impact
Mm.
the systemic causes and problems within our industry. Really, I'm on support places like Queensland TAFE, like to look at their curriculums,
Mm.
to ensure that the curriculum is really adding more value to the newly entering staff
Right.
member into our industry.
Mm.
Obviously, I come from a very HR direction. Like,
Mm.
if we're getting people job ready is not just technically sound.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's able to interview. It's all those soft skills that I
Mm.
know that I missed out on when I was a kid. I had to
Yeah.
learn them on the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 I was looking at some of my old emails from when I was first interviewing for IT jobs, out of interest in reading, my emails and my responses, and just some of the context completely going over my head, but being very, very confident with what I was saying at the same time.
it's funny. You definitely grow and shape your
Mm.
view as you get older. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to have sat there and read those emails with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's great, and the reason why I did want to ask is because sometimes there is quite a skeptical view of recruiters of you are just wanting to go in and poach business and poach people and move them around, but like you said, if you're working as a partner for these organizations and you're wanting to grow the capability, that has downstream effects throughout, because IT companies support businesses and businesses support the economy and the economy supports people. So the better we work together, and the more sustainable our businesses are in terms of that disruption. It's like $20,000 to hire someone, basically, in terms of just recruitment costs, then the cost of disruption. You have to train them up, you have to take other people out, you're not as productive. All of those things, they have impacts on the wider good as well, right?
Oh, that definitely does. Look, I'm not going to pretend to say I know a lot of
Mm.
recruiters. I don't. I know people that I've worked with, and I think that's because I've just kept my blinkers on. Because I don't
Sure.
think, for me, I don't think I'm in competition with anyone. As in,
Mm.
it's not competition. There's so much work out there for every recruiter. There's so many people that want to move. So many businesses that want to hire.
Mm.
If you remain ethical in your recruitment process, so this is an internal talent acquisition person or a recruiter in the technology space, if we remain ethical with
Mm.
what we're trying to achieve, and it's more about impact than it is a fee or a cost or any of those things, ultimately we're going to get the right person into a business. If you
Yeah.
get the right person, like I can guarantee you, Nathan, if you came to me and said, Dino, I need a new staff member, this is a pitch, this is a brief, bring me some candidates, bang, you hire them, they're a gun, they've been with you for 12 months, you love them, you're going to talk to 5 other people about Dino from Recruitment.
Yeah.
You're going to say, Dino did such a good job. He actually listened to me. He culture matched or culture added. He was technically on point with everything he told me this person could do, they can do. And
Mm.
everything he said that they couldn't do, I'm teaching them.
Mm.
If that was the scenario, you would come back to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you pass my name on to somebody else.
Mm.
But the impact to your business is more important to me, that you get what you want.
Mm. And so you get that right person, and the trouble, and the thing that we've really been focused on today is keeping that person now, right? So you get the right person, great skills, gets on with everyone, really fits in with the culture. You know, we'll start wrapping up. What's two things that you should be focusing on to keep that person once you've got them?
Okay, well, first of all, as soon as they've signed the document, there needs to be a really good onboarding process. So that the first 120 days of a staff member joining your organisation psychologically is actually what we call an attachment period. So if they have a good onboarding process for the first 120 days of them being engaged with you, so this is the 4-week notice period. Don't stop talking to them because they're working for somebody else. Text message on the first week, call on the second week, send an email on the third week, and just the Friday before they join, give them a call and check if there's anything that they need, if there's anything you can provide them. That sets up a really good foundation that they feel cared and supported for. So then you've got 120 days from that point onwards to make an impression. You can do a pulse check sort of through that process to see is there anything they're missing, anything that they feel disengaged about, whether that be their access to senior leadership, access to staff, resources, systems, etc. You want to check all these things. There's some great resources in the market to support you with this as well. So you don't have to just make it up. You can shoot me an email. I'll send you the resources you need. But that 120 days, you really need to have an impact. So that's number one. Number two, talk to your staff. If you've already got them, have a chat, sit down, have a lunch and learn, and tell them that the lunch and learn is not about them learning. It's about you learning. So I want to learn from you guys. Is there anything that we're missing? What can I do better? What could I do to support you on your journeys? Whether this one-on-one or whether this is a group session, remind them it's a safe space, and have a conversation around what is it that the staff need, want, or otherwise that you can provide within. Obviously, that's within reason. So that would be my top two. The first part is onboarding. Make sure it's smooth, kind, caring, ethical. And the second part is talk to your staff.
Yeah, nice. You said remind them that it's a safe space, and psychological safety is like an ongoing conversation as well. Probably another good podcast in there around, you can say it's a safe space, but what are you doing to actually reinforce and enforce that and make it so? So love to catch up with you and talk about that at a later point as well. Cool.
Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks. It's been good catching up.